that I see one of these ideals as kind of what I call an industrial philosophy of agriculture. And I don't mean by that industrial agriculture as a set of practices that are chemically intensive and so on and so forth. I mean the idea that agriculture should really be organized and evaluated just like any other sector of an industrial economy. And the norms that apply there are that if we think about the transportation sector or the energy sector or the manufacturing sector or even the entertainment sector, we think, well, what we want are that sector to produce the goods that it produces efficiently. That's good because it means lower costs for consumers, but we want it to do it in a way that's fair and that doesn't impose costs or harms on other people. So in the case of manufacturing, we want fair treatment of workers, and we talk about notions of rights for fair treatment. We talk about pollution impacts, and we want those impacts reduced, and we want the costs for reducing those impacts incorporated into the price of the commodities and so on and so forth. And I think that over the last 100 years, we have developed and moved very dramatically into thinking about agriculture in those terms as well. And so increasingly, agriculture is being seen as a sector that pollutes just like any other sector, and we need to address those issues. And there are issues of fairness to workers, issues of fairness to the animals, and those become incorporated into a kind of philosophy of how the industrial economy is supposed to perform. The contrasting view is actually a much older view. And I got interested in this because at some point in my career I actually started reading philosophers before 1900 writing about agriculture, and I was actually surprised to find out that they actually had quite a bit to say about agriculture, and that particularly among the ancient Greeks, the idea that agriculture is important in terms of establishing the basic rhythms of a society, that the material practices of a society are part of what formulates the character and mentality and sort of spirit of the people in societies, was actually a fairly commonplace theme. And I've started calling these agrarian philosophies. They're agriculture in an agrarian philosophy. Agriculture isn't just another sector of the economy. It actually does fundamental work that has cultural ramifications, that fixes a lot of social institutions, and that also keeps aspects of the society in balance and keeps them functioning. I think maybe my great patron saint for this is Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson's often cited because there are these beautiful quotations about farmers being the best citizens, but most people don't really know what Jefferson had in mind. What Jefferson was thinking was he was living at a time, he was president in 1803, and his big problem was that people of wealth and talent were tempted to leave the new republic, and they were moving to Canada, they were moving to other British colonies in the Caribbean, and his ideal citizen was somebody who would stay in the country and who would be committed to the country and who would work out the problems that the new republic faced. And he was in a political debate with Alexander Hamilton, and Hamilton's idea was that we would develop the country by building factories and a manufacturing plant in New Jersey. And Jefferson's concern was, well, those people won't have any more of a commitment to the United States than the slave traders and rum merchants and small manufacturers that were leaving already. So where should we invest the money? And Jefferson invested it in the Louisiana Purchase, because farmers, they make their life by developing their farm, and they invest their activity in an activity that is not transportable, that can't be moved. And so they are, they have to stay and work out the problems of the new republic. They make the best citizens because they're, as Jefferson said, their interests are wedded and tied to the land on which they farm. So there's a case in which Jefferson was thinking about a kind of sustainability. He was thinking about the sustainability of the new republic, and he saw agriculture as fundamental to the kind of institution building that was critical for the new economy, and saw it as playing a different kind of role than industrial society would. Now, I don't think it's plausible for us today to expect agriculture to do what it did in Jefferson's time. I think if we have to depend on farmers for our ideals of citizenship, we're in bad shape. But I do think that the model of farming and being integrated into food and thinking about where your food comes from, engaging in thoughtful food practices in terms of the food that you eat, where you procure your food, and the relationships that you have, can remind people of a broader kind of dependence that we have both on our broader environment and on our local communities, on the importance of continuing to build some of the same kinds of community relationships that Jefferson was interested in. So part of my ideal here is not that we dump the arguments of the industrial model. I think the emphasis on fairness and efficient production are entirely appropriate, but I do think that our political rhetoric, our political ideals are poor for having lost some of these agrarian modes of thinking.